Hi, my name is J.Compton, and today I'm going to be introducing you to Plickers. Plickers are essentially paper clickers. It's a student response system that many teachers are employing that do not have one-on-one technology for students. Plickers are an awesome tool to use for questioning as well as cues in the classroom. I came across Plickers while I was doing research for a class that I'm taking in which I was studying the book Using Technology with Classroom Instruction That Works. In this book, Pittler, Hubble, and Kuhn give readers an opportunity to explore several different teaching technologies as well as teaching strategies in which you are using these technologies. They define each of their strategies before they give tips and tricks for using technologies with the strategies. For cues, they describe that cues are hints to students about the content of a lesson. They provide information on what the student already knows, as well as some new information on the topic. Questions, however, allow students to access previously learned information on the topic and teachers to assess what the students do not already know. And I've been able to use Plickers to achieve both of these goals with cues and with hints. Plickers for questioning. Plickers are very useful for questioning in the classroom. They offer many solutions to the needs that we've seen presented through research. Students are given time to think. Okay, they often will read the question themselves, complete it if they need to, and then respond. It also only requires one device and one screen. This is very useful for classrooms that don't have one-to-one devices for students. Cheating is also limited since each Plicker is individualized. Students can't easily see what the other person is answering. It's engaging and inclusive. All kinds of students are able to engage in this as it just requires them to rotate their Plicker to show the correct response of A, B, C, or D. It's also quick and easy formative assessment. It's very simple for me to put up the live view, record my students' responses, and move along with our day. But it can also be used for graded assessment for summative assessment in order to assign students a grade. It's also so fun. My students get so excited every time we say we're going to do Plickers. And in the next couple of slides, I'm going to demonstrate to you Plickers being used in my classroom. As you can see, my students are engaged, they're excited, and they are very happy to be sharing Plickers with you. And then I will also be demonstrating how to set up your Plickers account once you've signed up in creating Plickers for in your classroom. So go ahead and watch carefully through these slides.
Hi, we're the 4th grade class at Keene Christian Academy, and we are going to be demonstrating how to use Plickers in the classroom. Boys and girls, you'd say hello.
Hi.
And everybody, please show me your Plicker. What a Plicker is, it is a piece of paper. I have chosen to purchase the Plickers that are available on the website, and they are all individualized. They are all assigned to our student numbers. So student 1, raise your Plicker. Student 13, raise your Plicker. And they can go all the way up until I have ones that go up to 40. Students are able to turn them. I want everybody to turn theirs for A. What would yours look like if you had A, the answer of A? And as you can see, they're all different. What would it be if you had B? Go ahead and look at yours. Turn to B. Okay. And as I do this, I am able to use my mobile device and also our projector is going to project up a question. So boys and girls, go ahead and put your Plickers down. And we're going to start with a true, false question. I have the question up here, and I will hit the camera. And as the students raise up, I am able to record their answer with my phone. And awesome. And I'm also on the screen able to see that everybody has answered. And this is a review question. I can show the graph. Boys and girls, what's the correct answer? A. It is true. And I can see individually on my phone who has selected. I can also use an iPad if I'd like to use this. So now here I'm back to my cue. And here is the next question. They just learned this yesterday, so we'll see how well they do. I can also rotate my phone to have a more wide view. This goes a little bit faster when you're not recording. Very good. Everybody also got that one correctly. I often will show the students the graph to see how they've answered, and I can reveal the answer as true. Okay, let's try one a little bit harder. Okay. I do not like to show the students who got the answers wrong. I just like showing them the graph. The correct answer is B, it is false. Coal is not a renewable resource, but I am able to see my answers here. Let's try some geography. Something awesome about Plickers is you can include pictures onto yours. So here I have a picture with some states we've just learned, and they are going to select which state is letter L. Okay, we had some disagreement here. Let's view our graph. Oops, zoomed in a little bit there. We have some disagreement here, but the correct answer is class D. D, it is South Carolina. Very good. Okay, let's try some language here. I hope they get this right. We just finished our unit on nouns. Everybody, good, good. Chrissy? Chrissy, face it towards me. Awesome. And yes, I gave you away the answer. Very good. What is the answer, class? Nouns. Nouns. Very good. Okay, let's try this one. This is a little bit of a review for language. What connects words or phrases, clause, or sentences? Got a couple different answers here. My graph shows me who has answered, and our correct answer, class, is C. Very good. One of the first steps you have to do is actually to create your class once you've signed up for Plickers. It is free to sign up. So I have created a class. Here is my Mrs. Compton's 4th grade class, and if I click on that, I have all my students. I only list them by first name. If I had students with 2 of the same first names, I could put last initials, but they are linked with the individual cards. As you see over here, I can link them up to 63 cards, which is quite a lot of students. I personally have the reproduced cards up to 40. So I'm able to include my students here. Now, for teachers who teach more than one class, this is actually really useful because you can include additional classes. For example, I created one with our faculty in order to demonstrate this with our faculty. So you can see the same numbers, 1 through 13, and actually continuing on to 18, are used here for my faculty, which include the same numbers as my students. I can also change the number cards and I can make them into other numbers as well, but the general way of assigning them is by numerical order. So if you wanted to have multiple classes, I could have here many classes depending on which subject I'm teaching, what grade level I'm teaching at, or which presentation I'm giving. It is very simple to create questions in the Plickers website. All you do is go to your library. In your library here you will have your folders for your items that you've already made. Here I have my folders for today's demonstration as well as past assessments that I've used. So I am going to click on my demonstration one. If I want to create a new folder, all I simply have to do is hit new folder. So if I go into my demonstration, here are the questions I created today. If I wanted to add a question, simply hit new question. I can type my question here. I can include an image. I can also exclude some of these responses, such as having only 3 responses by A, B, C, or I can also have true, false for question. Now, the main thing that I don't like about Plickers is how long it takes you to queue a question. In order to have a question in your queue, what I have to do is actually have to expand and I have to add to queue. Now, since I used this today, it's already been added to queue. But if I had to add it to queue, I would have to hit add to queue, Mrs. Compton's 4th grade, go to the next one, expand, add to queue, Mrs. Compton's 4th grade. So it is kind of time consuming, but it's definitely worth the effort in order to have the results that we receive.
This is the live view that my students saw in the demonstration that we just presented. What the students see is the question as well as the answer choices and all their names with a check mark next to it. What the check mark signifies is that the student's answer has been collected. I can also hide this panel if I choose to, but usually I find it beneficial to show the panel so that students can see that their answer has been selected. Now, I usually will show my students the graph. The graph gives me a graph of what answers have been selected. I can then select to reveal the answer, in which the correct answer here was C. As you can see, one student answered D. Now, I usually do not like to show students who answered what question, but if I wanted to, I can select reveal answer, and as you can see, John answered D for this question. Showing this answer would be beneficial for classes that are doing opinions or types of surveys in which the students do want to know what each other answered. But for formative and summative assessment, I usually do not reveal the student answers. Once the class has finished with live view, teachers are able to go back into reports and to get information about the questions that have been asked. The first part is the question history, in which it shows each of the questions given as well as a graph of the percentage correct. Now, something more that I like within this report is the score sheet. If you go to the score sheet and you select your class that you assessed, you can then also choose the date in which the assessment took place, and you are actually given a complete score sheet of each student, which questions they answered and which ones they got wrong. Something that I appreciate about Plickers is they make it easily, clearly bold for teachers to quickly analyze which questions were problematic for students. So as you see here, my students struggled the most with their geography terms, reviewing some of those southeastern states that we've learned, as well as this language definitions. Those were definitely things that I reviewed later in the day to reteach and to reassure. I can also see individual student grades. As you can see, some students did very well and other students didn't do so well. These can actually be used for a grade. I would not use this particular assessment as a grade as it was a review of many different concepts, but teachers have used Plickers as an assessment technique, especially in higher level grades, as it provides a quick grasp of student information.
The first day that I used Plickers in my classroom, I knew it would be something that I would use over and over again. My students are so excited. I can't emphasize how excited they are every time I say we're going to use Plickers. They are engaged, as you saw carefully in that video. A lot of them were really concentrating and thinking about, okay, what is the best answer I can give here? There's also minimal behavior issues because the students are waiting to see what the question is, what the answer is, and how everybody responded. They're very focused on the task we're doing. I also enjoy that there's no logging on by students. 4th grade is finally to the age where logging on isn't as big of an issue, but it still requires some teacher assistance on devices. I also love that I control the media exposure. Plickers uses no ads. It doesn't involve any outside advertisements, so I know my students are protected every time we use Plickers. I know that there's not going to be any pop-up screens that's going to arise, and we're going to have uncomfortable situations. So I love that I can control the media exposure. Finally, students are engaged in critical thinking. They are constantly thinking about, does my answer make sense? Does this really mean what I think it means? What's the question asking me? How is the best way I can respond? And I can use it for introducing, reteaching, and review. It has so many different ways that it can be used in the classroom. If you're interested in learning more, I've included here the references for Nathan Bond's article as well as the information for using technology with classroom instruction that works. The Plickers website is simply plickers.com. And I've also included here my personal blog, which I've used for tracking different technologies in the classroom. On this blog, you can actually view my first review of Plickers, and you can also access some other types of technologies that I have experienced with and kind of experimented to use in my classroom as well as on my own. I hope this has been very beneficial to you, and I hope that maybe this has made you curious about Plickers and how you can use it in your classroom.